Next, today I'm going to talk to you about the DNS Zone Transfer. First of all, we need to know what is a DNS zone. The DNS zone is a part of the DNS namespace that it will be managed by a specific organization or administrator. Here's the example. We have two administrators, the black cloudflare.com and cloudflare.com. But in cloudflare.com, as it's the main software, it will have a lot of DNS related to all its functions. So they need to retrieve those functions in an easiest way. So if they have all its DNS saved in a DNS zone, they can access to the domain names more easily. Once we explain the DNS zone, we will explain the DNS zone transfer. The DNS zone transfer is a process by which a DNS server will copy its files to another DNS server. When does this occur? When an organization has a primary DNS server, but it wants to have a backup of its information in another DNS server by replicating its files. But if it's not done correctly, it will be a time-consuming and resource-intensive process. To avoid this time-consuming and resource-intensive process, it exists the incremental DNS transfers. The incremental DNS transfers will only retrieve the resource records that have changed within a zone by comparing the server's information and will only copy the ones that are missing or were modified. For example, we have a main server named server 1 and 3 backup servers named server 2, server 3, and server 4. In server number 2 and 3, there will be only copied 5 and 10 indexes respectively because those are the only indexes missing. But in server number 4, due to its difference between index numbers, it will be better to transfer the whole information, the whole 55 indexes from server 1 to have the backup of the information. As you can see, there's IXFR request and AXFR requests. The IXFR request will be about incremental DNS transfer, and the AXFR request will be the normal DNS transfers. To transfer, we need a start of authorization record, in which we will need the server name, the zone manager, the version, the seconds to wait for updates, the seconds to retry a failed transfer, the seconds that the data can be used, and the seconds for the TTL file. Here we have an example in which we have exactly the same information, but according to the example. Here we have the domain name, the domain name manager, the domain name responsible, the seconds to search for updates, the seconds to retry a failed transfer, the seconds in which the information will be available, and the TTL. As I was telling you earlier, there are IXFR and AXFR requests. The IXFR request will only compare the zone version to its own main DNS server version, and the AXFR will only request a complete update from the master DNS server. As everything we have seen during these topics, it has also its vulnerabilities. The main vulnerability is that they don't have any authentication, so any client can ask for copying the main DNS server files. And with that, they can get a list of the hosts and to plan a security threat. But we can protect ourselves by the principle of minimum privilege. You need to know that we had during classes, and the transaction signatures for transfer. These transaction signatures are like a key in which the server number 2 will have a key for authenticating itself for the transfer. The main DNS server will compare the information saved about the signature, and if it's correct, the transfer will be done. If it's not correct, it will reject the transfer. And that's all for today. Thank you for your attention, and here are the references of the information.